Well, check it out, y'all. We got what you need. We're all living in apartments, condos, vans. Well, dude, even you can have a studio in a box. Yes, we can help you with that right here at Blind Knowledge. We work on your budget and we figure out your measurements. We'll get you the best sound for the best price. Let me know, 877-237-1143 or at blindknowledge.com. Yep.
Specters all around me, living in stark, blazing the dark. One by one, pictures gather round me. Where those moonflowers used to lost no more. Specters gather round here, living in stark, blazing the dark. Night by night, stare into the black where moonflowers used to grow.
Welcome back to Paranormal, the New Normal. The show where I, your host, Jeremy, try to make the world seem normal. Does it ever really happen? No, it's not going to happen. It hasn't happened yet. It ain't happening anytime soon. Get used to it. But as always, I bring forth another amazing guest in this paranormal world to amaze us with her experiences. And that guest this episode is June Edward, psychic medium, NDE, and a lot more. We're going to unpack all that in a few minutes, but first things first, how you doing tonight, June?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing?
Been a long, cold day, but I am happy to be here in the nice, warm house to do this tonight. So
I agree.
that's all that matters. So, but first question I ask everybody on this show is always, what brought you into the paranormal spiritual world?
They brought me into it. It wasn't my choice.
It's funny. It's funny how often the answer that is. It's just funny how often the answer that is. I mean, so how did they drag you into this world? Because that happens from time to time.
So I was born with a lot of psychic and mediumship abilities. And as a child, you really have no clue. It's just very scary as a kid. First, you think everybody else sees what you see, and then you realize they don't. And I tried blocking it as best as I could most of my life. I was very interested in it, but I had fear. And you can't live in fear. You can't do what I do if you have fear. And, you know, when my time was ready and they felt I was ready, they just kicked the door in from the other side. It was that simple. And I had to learn and get trained and figure out how to turn it off, because when you wake up in the morning, you got 30 people around your bed, souls that know you can see them and want help. You attract them. Energy attracts. It's that simple.
I want to say that's funny, but that's not really funny. But I actually had an author on this show way back in the beginning, and her book is kind of based. Her book, the character in her book, dealt with that too before he learned to master his abilities. Like literally, just spirits in the street, like.
Yeah.
Spirits in the street, like attacking him because they don't know, like they want help and they don't even, like they know he can see them. But
so even now that I'm trained, you know, it's like I still see them, but I pretty much ignore them and I'm not putting out the energy for them. But like I was in a grocery store one day and there was a spirit near the door who was probably an alcoholic or drug addict when he passed. And he's like, "You can see me, you can hear me." And I'm just smiling and walking by. So he picked up a roll of hot dog buns that were at the display and threw it. And it went probably, you know, maybe 3 feet. But the woman at the register saw it and she freaked out. She's like, "Oh my God, did you just see that?" And I'm like, "Yep." And I kept walking.
Ooh, see, that's something we don't hear too much on this show, is about spirits that are powerful enough to actually move things. I don't hear that often.
There's a lot. I encounter them all the time. Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe that kind of changes my theories. Maybe they all can do it.
So,
maybe they all can do it, but they just don't know it.
Well, some are stronger than others. It has nothing to do with how advanced the soul is. So I still haven't been able to determine why some are so much more adept at using their energy than others. Some are so talkative when I bring them through from the other side, I let them talk right through me because I can't repeat it as fast. And other ones, it's a full charade game, you know, to try to figure out what the message is and what they want to say. I have some of my students. I have one, his fiance learned how to work his cell phone. She leaves him the most beautiful messages on his cell phone. And I have many students that I have work out a light system for yes and no, so they can talk to them on the other side. Blink the light once for yes, two for no. If they can't get a light like a touch light in the house, I have them use a night light. Those things seem to work really easy for them.
So you essentially teach spirits to talk to the living.
Well, I teach the living to talk to the spirits.
Well, I mean, but I'm sure the spirits need to be told too. Like, this is the way to communicate. Like,
they're always listening. They're always hearing. They're always, yeah. When you're talking about someone specific, they show up immediately. They're right there. They can hear you. They can see you. They can touch you. They just, you're the one that with the issue that can't hear them because of the range. It's such a high frequency range. It's like banging on a two-way mirror. I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you see me? It's frustrating for them. Very frustrating.
I'm sure it's like being in a loud room with your parents when you're a kid and they can't hear what you're saying, and eventually you just start screaming at them because you can't. They're ignoring you for so long. So
I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. When somebody comes to me and they want to bring a spirit through from the other side, everybody they know on the other side shows up. Everybody wants to hope that I slip up somehow and allow them to come through to give a message, even if it's not for them, even if it's just for maybe a friend of theirs, kid or something. Everybody on the other side that has any connection shows up.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of confusing, it would seem at times, when you're trying to talk to one spirit and it's 30 showing up.
I have a guide that he'll only let one spirit through at a time. Once in a while, the spirit on the other side will let someone else go in front of them. They'll push him in front of them for a reason. It's always to teach me something. There's a reason for it. But nobody else in the crowd is allowed to come up or talk or anything else unless we ask for them.
Spirit. I like spirit guides. I've yet to learn to contact mine because I've been told I do have one. I've been told people have seen. Yeah, that's what I'm told. Whether I get to experience it, I've been told I literally have been told they're in the same room. I've been told they're in the same room as me sometimes when I'm doing the podcast, but
so we have many spirit guides. Spirit guides change all the time based on your need. You have one gatekeeper, however. Your gatekeeper never changes. That's the only one that never changes is your gatekeeper. So for instance, when I do mediumship work, my gatekeeper is the one that if I'm doing, I'm doing a platform with 200 people. He's the one that puts the souls in line for the people that I'm calling on. So I have the right souls lined up. He's also the one that stops them from coming through to me unless I'm working. That's his job.
I mean, for someone in your profession, a gatekeeper sounds like an incredible thing to have. Like, you would definitely need it in order to, stay focused and not get overwhelmed by random spirits. Because I mean, you don't need someone's fifth uncle once by marriage, like coming in and interrupting everything. But still, it's
you have to be able to turn it on and off. You can't be on all the time, and you'll just go crazy. So he's the one that keeps them at bay for me unless I'm working. Unless it's emergency. If it's emergency, he'll let them through. Other than that, he does not let them through.
Well, I mean, I personally think that, damn, I just lost my train of thought for a second there, but wow.
But guides are different. I mean, like when I wrote when I was writing my autobiography, I just kept hearing, you got to write the book. You got to write the book. I'm like, I'm writing the book. They're like, no, you need to write a book about teaching the psychic and mediumship that I was teaching. I said, well, listen, if you want me to write that book, you're going to have to help me channel it because I'm writing this book. I'm taking care of my parents. I'm teaching. So I literally asked for the highest guide, who's an author, to help me write this book quickly. And I wrote it and published it in 6 weeks.
I mean, that's awesome. That's amazing. That's amazing. And it's funny because you're the first person out of the 50-ish psychics, mediums I talk to. I mean, I know there's difference, but there's out of the 50-ish people in the spiritual society that can have that ability of some kind with spirits. I never heard the term gatekeeper before. I've heard guides, but gatekeeper is a new term to me, and I'm still kind of like sitting here like mystified by that term. Like, there actually is one that is specifically for gatekeeping.
That's his
I
only job, and he's with me all the time. And he's actually only spoken to me once, and I've only seen him twice. But he's right here, right beside me all the time.
And are these actual like passed down spirits, or are they angels?
No. They're souls. My gatekeeper is a he's an Indian brave from probably the early 1800s. I never really asked him what tribe. He just told me now Cherokee. But he's an Indian brave, and his job is also to protect me to some point from the other side. But we also have angels were never human. Angels are a completely separate race.
Well,
and
yeah.
Their entire existence is to help us. But if we don't ask, they cannot intervene. They can't help. Unlike a guardian angel. Now, your guardian angel is actually not an angel at all. Your guardian angel is a soul that's somehow connected to your past lives, because we reincarnate every time with the same soul group. So someone from your soul group. And if when you're born, no one volunteers to step up as your guardian angel, then they appoint someone as your guardian angel. And your guardian angel can actually change throughout your life as well. So for instance, say you had a brother or a best friend that passed away that you were really close to, and they asked to step up and be your guardian angel. They'll allow that, and the original one will just step back and supervise. And your guardian angel can step in at any time to help you, rescue you, give you information, anything like that.
Interesting, because obviously I've always known that angels were never human. And if you go by the Christian text, then that's obviously evident. But it depends on people's beliefs.
I don't go by any of it. I get my information from the other side. I was exposed to too many religions growing up. They're all right. They're all wrong. And my information comes from the other side.
I love that. I wish I had the ability to find stuff out from the other side, because then that would make this podcast. Actually, no. You know what? I almost don't, because then they would make this podcast less interesting, because I wouldn't learn things every episode. Like I learned about gatekeepers tonight. See, I've been told this is my purpose, this podcast, and I think that's right. I've had medium psychics tell me, like, this is what you're meant to do. This is your connection to the paranormal. You do this. You don't talk to people from the other side yet. Maybe someday, not yet.
Well, everybody has a purpose, and yours is to get the word out. Do you meditate on a regular basis?
No, I'm not gonna lie to you. No, but I've tried. I've tried.
Everybody
Meditation is
gives
just
me that.
hard.
I put the instructions to meditate properly in every one of my books. I find it's that important. Most people don't do it properly. Most people don't teach it properly. And not one person, including myself, has ever said, oh, it's easy to meditate. I was the first one to say, I can't meditate. I was running 5 businesses at the time. I was going through a divorce. My head was spinning. Yet the first time that I meditated 10 years ago, that's when they kicked the door in from the other side. That was it. That was it. I couldn't shut it off. And it was 1,000 times stronger than when I was a kid. So whenever you meditate, it's cumulative. I recommend 20 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day, so you can get in touch with your soul, and you will start connecting with the other side. You will start talking to angels and guides. And, when you pray, you're asking. When you meditate, you're getting your answers.
Okay. I now I definitely am gonna have to go buy one of your books so I can find the right way to meditate, because I meet regularly with a Reiki practitioner master, and she gave me meditation, like guided meditation to do, and I've done it, and just it seemed like I was getting close to something, but it didn't, nothing was kicking in the door quite like that. It seemed like something was happening. Well, I've also been told that it only will happen when it's supposed to happen. That it's not going to just happen because you want it to.
No, but this is how you connect. This is how you get information. All of those things. That's how you make the connection with your soul. So you have to remember, your soul is way too big for your body. So you have some of your soul is in your body. Some of it's over your head that people can see and call an aura. And the majority of your soul is actually in the lowest level of heaven, which is the fifth dimension. So when you meditate and get in touch with your soul, you're not just getting in touch with the soul that's in your body. You're getting in touch with the majority of your soul that's already in heaven, in the fifth dimension. And that part of your soul has all of the information and knowledge from all of your lifetimes. So you start, you'll start getting downloads. Your ears will start ringing. You'll get information, and suddenly you'll know things you don't know how you even knew it, because you're getting the information from your soul.
Interesting. And I mean, all right, yeah, I definitely got to buy one of your books now and
Yeah.
start.
And I mean, it's also how you learn to make decisions too, because I mean, we're an energetic being inside of a human body having a 3D experience. Okay. And we all have a brain in our head, right? Most of us. And that's nothing more than a computer. It's a very fancy, fast moving computer to help you process all the information you have. But your brain has a specific job. Your brain's job is to protect you. How does it do that? It does it by creating fear. So people are making their decisions based on fear. And when you do that, it's a crapshoot. It's a 50-50 crapshoot. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but you're always questioning yourself. Everyone has made a decision in their life that they just knew it was the right thing to do. They just knew it in their gut, whether it's to not go this way to work, whether it's to avoid something, anything. Everybody's made a gut decision like that at some point in time. That's from your soul. When you make the decision from your soul, it's the right decision 100% of the time, and it always works out. So when you meditate and start getting in touch with your soul, you can start making your decisions that way. And it's amazing, amazing how your life just starts to take off on the right path.
Interesting. I see. I've been told so many freaking times, like, meditate. I'm like, I've always said, can't find the time. I can't do it right. I have too many
I've heard every
distractions.
excuse from everybody, but the reality is this. If you want to raise your vibration, we're magnets. You're always repelling or you're attracting at any given time, right? And everybody's interested in the law of attraction. You want to bring in everything you want in your life, right? How do you do that? You have to raise your vibration, first of all. You raise your vibration and learn how to balance your energy. And once you do that, you're in the highest high there is, and you're constantly bringing everything you want into your world. I set my intentions. I write my 10 intentions out every new moon. I burn them every full moon. I have to keep thinking up new things because the universe has brought me everything I've asked for. Everything. It's like Christmas all the time.
That, my life used to be like that years ago, and for the last 8 months particularly, but for the last year, it just hasn't been that great. And it just seems like something changed. I used to always say, like, I have good luck. I always seem that things always work out for me. I always get what I want eventually.
It's not luck, though. It's not luck. It's being tapped into that energy field. And the only way to get back into that is to meditate and raise your vibration. So the highest vibration there is love. You can laugh, you have joy, love, being in love. Think of that high of being in love all the time, right? That's what it's like when you tap into that energy field and you raise your vibration.
Well, I mean, as you know, I'm married, so I mean, the love's there.
But being in love and loving are two different things. Being in love is like a high. Okay, so it's the highest high there is without being on anything. And that's what it's like when you tap into that energy field.
All right. I mean, that makes sense. And actually, that kind of does make sense because during that time, I was dating my soon-to-be wife. And, there's a lot more love present when you're first dating somebody and when you're getting to know them and all that. But then eventually over time that love doesn't die, but eventually that love starts to
there's a difference
simmer.
There's a difference between being in love and loving. They're two different things. Two different things. Being in love is almost like an infatuation to some degree, but it's a higher vibration of energy that you feel.
Makes sense.
But everything in the universe has to stay in balance. So if you don't balance that, guess what? Boom, you crash. Can't maintain it. You have to have balance in life. You have to have balance in everything in the universe. For every high, there's a low. So when you raise that vibration and learn how to balance your energy, the highs aren't so high, the lows aren't so low, but you're always on that high and it stays there.
I mean, yeah, life is all about balancing. I mean, whether you want to call it your chakra or just balancing your mind, body, and soul into one is just, I mean, it makes sense.
Everything
It
in the
makes
universe
sense.
has to stay balanced. And
Yin, yin and yang. Yeah,
there's five lessons in the, all's fair in love and karma. The five lessons your soul has to learn in order to progress. First one is self-worth, knowing that you are that important, that the universe put one of you here. Even if you're a twin, you're not the same. You're like different things. Your parents can tell you apart. And it's knowing that it's not selfish or narcissistic to put yourself first. It's where everything else comes from. If you don't take care of you, you're not going to be here for anybody else, are you?
exactly. I agree with that 100%. I mean, I know some narcissistic people, and they go beyond that, though. They go
Well, that
beyond just loving.
narcissism is a true mental disorder, and they feel that the world revolves around them. That's not putting yourself first. It's just what the world likes to think and call you if you put yourself first and have self-worth, as we all should. And then
Women,
you have trust and communication. You have to trust that there's a higher power. You have to trust that there's a plan because you made this plan. And when things aren't working out, you have to understand that they're not working out for a reason. If you can't move yourself along on your journey, the universe will step in and do it for you. You also have
makes
to
sense.
be able to communicate your wants and your needs to the people in your life, whether that's your boss, your children, your spouse, it doesn't matter. You have to be able to communicate. And you also have, sex is just another form of communication. If you can't communicate outside the bedroom, you're not going to be able to trust and communicate inside the bedroom either.
Exactly. I mean, I agree with everything you said. I mean, personally, anybody that knows me knows my ego is sky high, so I never doubt that I was put on this earth for a purpose since I was a little kid. But I mean, I knew I was. So I'm guessing you're a believer in soul plans, that our lives are basically mapped out before we get on this earth, even.
They are. And the universe wants you to think you have a choice. So they'll offer you door 1, 2, and 3. You go through door 1, you get married, you have a couple kids, you get divorced. Where are you going to be? In front of door 1, 2, and 3. Most people are creatures of habit. They're going to take door 1 again. You're going to get married. You're going to have a couple more kids. You're going to get divorced again. You're going to be in front of door 1, 2, and 3 again. If you learn the lesson you were supposed to be learning, you won't take door 1 again. You'll take door 2 or door 3. And you may get married again and have more children, but it's not going to end for the reason that the other 2 did, because you learned the lesson you were there for. So the other lessons are unconditional love. Unconditional love is not saying that I have to stay in this relationship, even though it's abusive, because I'm practicing unconditional love. And this is where the other lessons start reinforcing each other, because now self-worth kicks in again, right? Unconditional love is saying, listen, I love you. I care about you. We had a good run. It's not working anymore. We need to go our separate ways. It's not bad mouthing them down the block. It's wanting the best for them and moving on. Suppose you had a child that you love very dearly and they did something horrific like murdering a neighbor in a fit of rage, and they go to prison for the rest of their life. You don't like what the child did, but hopefully you're still going to love your child, right? That's
Of course.
unconditional love. Then you have money and balance. Well, money is energy. That's why it's called currency. And it's what we use in this 3D life to show whether or not your life is in balance. So everything has to be an even exchange of energy. You don't walk into a grocery store and plop down $1 million to buy a gallon of milk. Not yet, anyways.
Coming
It
soon.
has to be an even exchange. Okay. When I first started my relationship mastery program, I gave it to a couple of people that were in the service, military service, because I figured, they were in tough shape. They couldn't afford it. Do you know they didn't do the program? It had no value to them because they got it for free. So there has to be an even exchange of energy in everything. Suppose all you do is work 80 hours a week. You want to make a lot of money, put it aside. Well, now your life is out of balance. You've got no time for your family, no time for your friends, no time for your own hobbies, right? And then you're not spending your money, so you don't even have enough self-worth to spend the fruits of your labor on yourself. So this is where you learn money and balance. And then the last lesson everybody has to learn is patience. And we live in a world right now of, everybody wants instant gratification. They want it now. They want it yesterday. Bring Uber Eats to me. It doesn't work that way. Everything comes to you in the perfect time, when it's supposed to, when you planned it. Okay. How foolish would it be if every little 5-year-old girl that wants to get married and have babies has the stork delivering them to the front door? Kind of stupid, huh? And,
Yeah.
you might be in your 30s and you think your biological clock is ticking and you want to have kids. Well, maybe you didn't plan it that way. Maybe you planned at 50 that you would marry a widow and raise his child. You have to trust. This is where they keep looping back. You have to trust that, you created the plan for your highest and best. And you have to understand that everything that's happening, nothing's happening to you. Everything's always happening for you, for your highest and best. It's very easy to look behind you and see the breadcrumbs of how everything in your life has brought you to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and brought you to where you are right now, which is exactly where you're supposed to be. You should never have regrets, because it wouldn't have changed anything. It would circle you around and it might extend the time, but it's still going to be right where you're supposed to be. Okay, this is how it works. And when you want to look forward and see what those breadcrumbs are, where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing, this is where you meditate and you get a lot of insight and you make the right decisions.
Okay, well, one, I have a really good big question in a minute, but I just want to confirm out the fact here that yes, I mean I agree 100%. That's the way I've always lived my life, is no regrets. I mean, I just started my real job. I just started a new real job back in March, and right after I got that job, I finally heard back from the company that let me go, laid off, and I applied to work with them in another team and as a manager, and they said like, oh, we're ready to interview now and everything. I was a couple months into my new job, and I'm like, do I actually talk to them? And I know I'll get it because they love me, but I'm like, do I actually do that? I'm like, no, I'm here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
This job is working out for a reason. So no, I told them like, I found a job. I told them I wouldn't look anywhere else for now. I just can't. And did I feel regret for a second? Maybe for 1 second. And then I'm just like, no, this is where I'm supposed to be.
If you made the decision from your soul, you wouldn't even question it. You just know, this is it. I don't even question it.
If it wasn't for if the job I didn't even look into at that point was for working at home. So that's the only reason I had a little bit of regret, because I'm not working at home anymore. But that's the only reason there was a little bit of regret, because working at home was nice. But other than that, I mean, the job I'm at now, I don't regret it, because I'm killing it and I'm succeeding at it, and it was meant to be. I think. I mean, I think I was meant to get out of the house and get back into the world. Actually,
completely.
I think.
Mm-hmm. There's no accidents. There's nothing's random, and there's no accidents in this world.
I believe that 100%, which brings me to the big question I mentioned a second ago. Because I know I don't have to ask, what do you believe? Because I already know what happens after death. So, my theory for after death, and this is based on many different people I've talked to, and this is kind of what sticks in my head, is that we go to basically an extraterrestrial DMV in the sky. Our spirits go there after we die, and we're basically waiting to be put back into another human body. It could take decades, could take centuries, could take a few years. Who knows? I mean, it takes time, but eventually you're put into the next body you're supposed to be put into. Am I way off basis here, or is that similar-ish?
So, first of all, there are different dimensions. We're in 3D here, okay? And we're having a 3D experience. It's like an avatar. Our soul gets in this body, and we play a role here, okay? 4D is your dream state. When you go to sleep at night, your vibration actually rises. And 5D is the lowest level of heaven. So when I died, when I was 27, that's where I went, was to the 5th dimension, to the lowest level of heaven, where the majority of your soul resides while you're here on this plane in 3D. I have the ability to go back and forth there at will. I have not been able to go beyond that dimension while I still have a body here, but they have allowed me glimpses into the other dimensions and the other levels. And they've given me a ton of information from the other side. So, for instance, they've described it to me like a layer cake. And we go to the level based on our belief system and how advanced our soul is. Okay. So, for instance, when my mom died, there was an angel in the room. and I asked him what his name was during the night, and he told me it was Makael. So I looked it up, and it was the angel that brings advanced souls to the higher realms. And when I watched my mom's soul leave her body, this is where she went with him and her other family members that came to cross her over, right to my dad and my two sisters who were in the higher realms as well. So they allowed me to see that and view that. I since found out Makael is also Archangel Michael, but had he told me it was Michael, I would not have looked it up and known that he was taking her to the advanced realms. So when you go to the other side, you don't have a body. So they kind of live vicariously through us. So for instance, my ex-father-in-law used to love to fish, and that's what he's doing all the time with his brother on the other side. He's fishing. So no, they don't have physical fishing poles, and they can't pull in physical fish. So for the most part, what they do is they go find somebody else that's fishing, and they stand next to him, and they act like they're kind of pulling the fish in with him when he's fishing, or if he's not getting a fish, they're just as disappointed. It's the old adage they used to say, if you set an extra dinner plate for dinner at the table, they'll show up and enjoy the meal with you, and they absolutely will. They want to live vicariously through us. Now, before you can reincarnate, you have to go through a lot on the other side. You plan it just like you plan a Monopoly game. You plan who you're coming back with. You stay with the people that are in your soul group, and there's millions of people in your soul group. Every archangel has a soul group, and you determine who you're going to come back with. Who do you owe karma from a past life? Who owes you karma from a past life? Now, karma is created when you do something in this lifetime and you don't have remorse and you don't make amends. Then you owe something to that person in another lifetime. So let's say you stole money from somebody in a past lifetime. They may decide to come back in this lifetime when you're making your game plan and be your boss. And then he's really teaching you about money, isn't he? Maybe he's got you piecemeal in a factory or something, or, not giving you your raise, something like that. That's a karmic relationship that he's come back to play that role for you, because they're always trying to help teach you your 5 lessons. Those 5 lessons: the self-worth, the trust and communication, the unconditional love, the money imbalance, and the patience. Those are the 5 things we have to learn for our soul to move on. So when we finally get the plan all done up, there are some souls that have to go through extra counseling, if you will, on the other side. Say they took their own life. That's the only unacceptable out. If they did that, they have to go for a lot of counseling with the angels to determine why they did that and let everybody down. Because now the angels have to scramble and change all the connections that you were supposed to be making and things you were supposed to be doing when you were here. It's a lot of work for them. They don't want to keep going through that, so they want to find out why. You can write an exit into your life, just like I did when I was 27. I had a very difficult life, very challenging, and that was an out that I had written into it, and I could have taken it if I wanted to. And I decided to come back here by choice. We reincarnate. So time doesn't really exist. We kind of created the constructs of time here to try to make sense of a crazy world. Yeah. But what I've been able to construe is it's about 3.5 to 4 years of our time to 1 year on the other side. So we reincarnate on the average of about 350 to 400 years is what I've been able to come up with. Now, there are exceptions to everything. I tried to bring a little girl through who had been murdered for her family, and I could not bring her through. And her family came through from the other side to let me know that she had reincarnated almost as soon as she, right after she had been murdered. That's the reason she wasn't there. She was back here in a soul, in another body. But it's rare that they come back that fast, but it happens. There's exceptions to everything.
Well, I mean, I can imagine that would be an exception, because that something as brutal as that, I feel like they would feel like that soul deserves to just kind of
It's
like
not a
to
matter
hit a
that
reset.
she knew that was going to happen before she came through. If you came through here and you knew you were going to, you make that plan. And even a baby that's born and lives for moments, they agreed, that soul agreed to come through here and do that. And there's a lesson in there for who? Maybe the parents, maybe the doctor, who knows? But they absolutely knew that that was the plan when they came here. There are no accidents. There really are not. Now, you can die outside of your life plan, which some people think you can't, but you absolutely can. And it's more common than people realize. But as long as you're not taking your own life, it's not like you have to get all kinds of counseling on the other side before you can come back and reincarnate again. It's different. But say, for instance, I brought through when I first started doing this work, I brought through a girl that had been in a car accident. She was in the car with three other people, so there were four of them. And it was her aunt that wanted to talk to her and bring her through. And she knew that she was not supposed to get in that car. She knew it. Her soul knew it. Her mother always told her that if she felt she was in danger, to call her. And she got in that car and they hit a tree and everyone was killed. And then, a week later, I had somebody else come to see me and I was baffled because all four of these people are still standing in front of me. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Well, it was the mother of one of the other girls. It's just by chance came to see me. And it's just, again, there's no accidents. Energy attracts.
Of course.
Yeah. So whether they brought her to me or what, but the angels brought her, I don't know. But yeah, she died outside of her life, out of her life plan. And it's kind of traumatic for somebody that does die outside their life plan because they had all these things they still were supposed to do and wanted to do when they were here. And they do go through a grieving process. The two things that you take with you when you go to the other side, when you leave this body, is the knowledge that you have, and you access all the knowledge from all your lifetimes, and your feelings. And I used to say love, but it's not just love. I felt overwhelming love on the other side, but I brought through so many souls from the other side that are still grieving or regretful or sad. So, let's say that you had somebody pass away and you were still grieving and crying all the time and don't want to leave your house. Well, they're stuck right there with you. They cannot enjoy their afterlife on the other side because you're grieving. They're going to sit there and live vicariously through you and grieve with you. I had one mother who was going to the cemetery every single solitary day. She had a 17-year-old son that overdosed, and it wasn't really the overdose, but when you're doing street drugs, there's always going to be at least one dose in there that's lethal. Somebody's going to get the lethal dose, and he did. And I think it was the first time that he'd ever even tried it. But she was at the cemetery every day and crying, and he came through and he said, listen, he goes, I don't want you going to the cemetery anymore. He goes, I'm only there because you keep going. And, he showed me a bench that near some river that he said they used to go to when he was young. And she confirmed that. He said, go there. I'll meet you there. It's a nice, happier place. And he goes, you need to get rid of the stuff in my room. He'd been gone for a couple of years at least. He says, you need to give it away. Give it to people, give it to friends, give it to family that they can remember me, but you need to give it away. You need to get rid of that room. He goes, you're keeping it like a shrine. I don't want to be in this grief with you. We need to move on. And that's what's happening. That's what happens when you can't move on from it. They can't move on either.
See, I mean, maybe it's just because I never had anyone pass that was that close to me. I mean, I've had relatives pass that I was very close to, but death never had an effect over me. Like, it never made me sad, even before I understood all this, like when I was younger. It was always more like death to me was natural. It's the way things are supposed to be. That person went, it's as unjust as it may seem at times, that person went when they were supposed to go for the most part. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I've lost two sisters that weren't supposed to go.
Well,
and
for the most part,
yeah,
I mean. But,
yeah. I mean, but still, it's like, I know they're in better places, they're around me all the time. Every time I'm talking about them, they just show up now. That's how it works. And I know they're okay. It's we're the ones here that are doing the missing. You know, they're not missing us because they can see us all the time. They can come see you, they can hear you, you know. It's just you are not hearing them, and it's frustrating for them.
Makes sense. I mean, my maternal grandfather passed in 2010, like, and he and I'd watch it. Well, yeah, I mean, I was really close to him. I saw him at least a couple times a week, usually, because we lived in the same town all my life at that point. And I mean, it's a shame because I get told. I mean, I actually was told, he was with me during one podcast. A medium told me after the show that, like, she's like, "There's someone next to you," and like they started naming off things that like they would never have known because you can't Google us to find out we're related, even because we have different last names. So
Yep.
you really can't Google to find out we're related unless you really deep dive. Which, who the freaks can do that? But I mean, it's. I mean, he
Well,
was a
I mean,
great.
they give you information that, you know, they want you to give to the other person just so they know. You know, I did a show one
Yeah.
time and I had a guy in the front row, and this is going back quite a few years now, and I was still fairly new. And he was a widower and he wanted to talk to his wife. And I'm standing there and I've got this whole audience of people, and I'm saying to myself, oh my God, these people are going to think I'm nuts, but I've got to give them what I get. And I'm like, listen, the only thing I'm getting, I don't see anyone. I said, the only thing I see are two hands holding out what looked to me to be a prom dress. And he just starts bawling his eyes out in the front row. He's like, that's my wife. That's my wife. He goes, that was her favorite saying every time she left the house. I'm off like a prom dress. And after she did that, then she gave me more information and she showed her whole self to me. But I mean, they do the craziest things sometimes.
Mm. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I would imagine even spirits have to have a sense of humor now and then. But
Oh my God. I can't even tell the stuff they've done to me. Oh my goodness. Yes. And it's so tough if I'm doing readings. It's like I did a group reading once, and there's this older woman who wanted to talk to her sister. So I start describing her. Says, "Oh yeah, that's her." Then I'm going on again. She goes, "No, that sounds like my other sister." And I'm like, "Okay, wait a minute. I'm getting more information. I'm giving her that." She goes, "Oh no, that's this sister." I'm like, I'm really confused. I got one person in front of me. All of a sudden, all three of them kind of like popped out, like, you know, like they were all in line. One went this way, one went this way, right? All three of them were all in line behind each other. So I could only see one, but they were all there to see her.
oh, kind of like a chorus line thing almost for a
Yeah,
second.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yep. A conga
that's
line. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
that
I'm like, wow, really?
that's funny.
It's not nice to do to the medium.
Yeah, well, I mean, I imagine if you're in the spirit world and you're just kind of walking around all day, just find things to do, you'd have to find ways to have fun
A
that you
lot
can
of them have a
actually.
great sense of humor. You don't change when you get to the other side. You're the same person that you were here. So if you were a really nice, funny person, you are there. If you were a jerk here, you're a jerk there.
Oh, I mean, hopefully the jerks go somewhere else. I would hope, but I mean, which actually,
Well, if they're related
let
to
me.
you, they're coming through.
Yeah, my paternal grandfather came through for one show too, and it was kind of like, why are you here? Like, it's like, why are you here? We're not that close. You treated me like crap every time you saw me.
No,
So
maybe he wanted to make amends. That's what I find a lot of times when that was the situation, because they still are trying to be better themselves on the other side. You learn much faster here than you do there, and you learn even faster here within relationships. This is why we have them. This is why we keep getting into them. And there's only
makes
three
sense.
different types of relationship. There's the karmic relationship, and a karmic relationship never really feels right. It's like you're looking for the red flags, you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. And as soon as one or the other learns the lesson, that relationship ends immediately. Whether it's friends or lovers, doesn't matter. It's like you wake up one morning and say, why is this person even in my life? And I'm done. And if you've both learned your lesson, then it will end amicably. If only one or the other learned the lesson, it will end, but it's not going to be amicable.
No.
Then you have the soulmate relationship, and soulmate relationship is also there to teach you something, or for you to teach or to learn something, but it's also there to afford you some love and affection while you're doing it. And unlike the karmic relationship, a soulmate relationship can last a long time after you've learned your lesson, if that's what you wrote into your soul plan. Okay. And then you have the twin flame relationship, which, there is way too much misinformation out there on the internet about twin flame relationships. Everyone does not have one. They are not the romantic love relationship from the Notebook. They're extremely difficult. They are literally one soul that's split into two bodies before they reincarnated, and they will reincarnate in two bodies every lifetime. They will find each other at a predetermined time in the lifetime they're in. It is always extremely sexual, extremely passionate. It's over and above anything you've ever had in your life. And it only lasts for a matter of a few weeks or a few months. And it will change your entire life. It will put you on the path to learn your lessons. And so twin flames have a higher purpose than most people. They have a purpose here to help humanity or help save the world. So if they learn their 5 lessons and get on that path, they will have an opportunity to reunite again in this lifetime. Otherwise, they will not. And most of them do not reunite in this lifetime. Most of them reunite on the other side, and for the rest of their life, they're either single or they're settling, one of the two.
Interesting. I mean, I honestly don't think I have a twin flame relationship meant to happen in my life.
There's only a couple 100,000 on the planet at any given time. They are extremely rare.
I mean, the soulmate thing kind of sounds like what I'm in, because I
Soulmates are nice.
I went through a. It's funny because I moved to Massachusetts, as we were talking about earlier. My own area of snow is where I live. I moved to Massachusetts in 2015 because I fell madly and deeply in love with this girl I worked with, and it only lasted about a week. But it broke me, though. It freaking shattered me into 1,000 pieces. I moved states because I just couldn't stand to see the place I used to work with her. I couldn't stand to see anything in that town anymore. I just wanted out. And it took me a couple months to realize that, but eventually I just moved the hell out of there. And I came back, and it was just, no, I didn't come back. I moved to Massachusetts, and things just got better. They just got better in Massachusetts, and eventually I met my wife, the woman I'm with now, and
it sounds like the first one was a karmic relationship too, and it was meant to put you on your path and get you moving.
Maybe. It's possible. I don't know. I've been saying for years I wanted to move to Massachusetts, so I could 100% believe that's a little bit possible. But because I have a lot of family up here, and I have no
but
family.
But you may not have done it if that hadn't happened.
I most likely wouldn't have, because I was living in a trailer on a mountain with my roommate, and it was very cheap to live in there, and it was awesome, kind of like a bachelor life.
Like I said, if you can't do it for yourself, the universe will intervene to make sure that you do get on the path you're supposed to be on.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense, and my wife I'm with now, a lot of my family told me she's not the right one for you and all this stuff, and I'm like, deep down though, I'm just like, yeah, she is. I could feel it.
You know in your soul. That's your soul.
So I'm a big believer in all that, and besides the movie stuff where they try to teach you all this stuff, but the real part of it all is just, it's a good, hey Munchie, it's soulmates are meant to happen. So sorry, my mastiff just walked by, but it's meant to happen. And now we have a family, and we have a house. We've had a house for a few years, and life has been great the last 8 months. There's been a lot of freaking horrible stuff happening to our lives. A lot of people that shouldn't be in our lives that somehow got put into our lives. And
well, you also have to, with what it is that you're doing, you're also attracting a lot of negative type stuff from the other side, your target. So you should be clearing your energy, clearing your space constantly. You should have religious artifacts in your house. You should be wearing a cross, all that stuff, because if you're attracting all that dark energy, you're going to have a lot of problems.
Do crosses actually help, though? Because I've heard so many mismatched opinions on that.
Okay, so alcohol used to be called spirits, right? Because when you drink, it lowers your vibration. And if people could see what I could see, what I see, it's like an episode of The Walking Dead. They're everywhere. So ghosts, what I call lower vibrational entities, they have the same energetic footprint as you or I. If I don't know that they're dead, sometimes I think they're alive because their energy is the same. They have not gone into the light. Okay. And if they are demonic, they want your body because they don't have a body to go into. So if you go into a bar or a restaurant, they're all over there. I can see if you've got attachments because they hang on you like you're giving them a piggyback ride. So if you're out somewhere like that and they're looking for somebody and they see that you're wearing a religious symbol, they don't want to deal with it. They'll just go to the next person. So absolutely, I tell everyone you should be wearing some religious symbol that has been blessed. I have everything blessed by a Catholic Church because it seems to have more impact on the other side than anything else. Maybe it's because it's just this area of the world and it's Christian. I have no idea. But, I make sure that, everything that I have, I get blessed by the Catholic Church. You should have something in every one of your rooms, whether it's a cross or a statue, because they wander in right off the streets. They'll follow other people into your home. They'll follow you into your home. And if they see that stuff, they'll just kind of, this house isn't worth it and go. That's what they'll do.
Interesting, because I've been told by multiple people, including my Reiki practitioner, who she didn't want to bring it up even until I said something about it. But
you got stuff in your house.
I know I could have had paranormal investigators come in when we first moved in because there was weird stuff happening.
Well,
and I know that the original owner of the house and his wife are in the house. And I've also been told there's something dark in the house that's not quite a demon.
And the problem with that, if it's dark, it's demonic, trust me. And the problem with that is energy attracts. And if you've got one spirit in your house, you're going to have 100 spirits in your house because they just congregate. That's how it works.
It's funny you mentioned Walking Dead, though, because I usually podcast in my garage, but it's just been too damn cold the last couple weeks to actually do that. So I've been doing it in the living room. But I went in the garage in the past, though. Right after we staged the house last time, because my Reiki master Jassy sent me a package with sage and a couple other things in to use to clear the house out. And the medium I was interviewing was like, it looks like The Walking Dead behind you right now. It's just like all these ghosts or zombies walking around.
It means you didn't sage it well. You didn't do it properly either. That's the other thing. Most people don't do it properly. You have to have, open a window or something because they're low vibration. It's easier for them to get out, but you've got to get every corner of every room. You got to start top to bottom or bottom to top. And you've got to get, under beds, in closets, behind doors, because they see you coming. They hide, bottom line. They hide.
Oh, we have some sage left, so I might have to do it again, and maybe I'll do it this time.
And I would get some holy water, when you've got an issue in a house like that, I would put holy water out in every room in little tiny cups. And you will notice that it will evaporate quicker in certain rooms based on what's going on. So I used to own a sports bar and I would put the holy water at the door. And you'd see people just stop in their tracks. They couldn't cross it. They didn't even know why. They just look at each other and turn around and walk away. And the hostess would be like, what the hell's going on? And I would sage it, and between that and the holy water, nothing could come in. So I actually had a bartender take pictures one night, and you can see a dozen faces pressed up against, spirits pressed up against the glass outside wanting to come in because it had music and booze. And it's pretty freaky. You don't see the bottom of them. You can see the top of every one of them, and there's the mailbox underneath. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. You got to keep them out. You don't want them in your house. They don't belong in there. They're just going to suck off you and drain your energy. And they're going to create drama in your house. They'll create infighting with you and your wife, your family, because they feed off that negative energy. And I hear the dog. What's the dog, howling at? Even my dog was hearing your dog.
Well, my wife just brought the one out with her, and he's downstairs still in his kennel. So, yeah, he's he gets
But they're
very pissed if
very
he's not.
intuitive. My dog the old house I had was very haunted from the people that had owned it in the 1800s. And she tried to kill me twice. She would come through a portal. And
Damn.
my dog would spot her before I spotted her because she's low vibration. I wasn't picking up on her right away. Yeah.
And damn. That's all I can say is damn. Like, actually having a spirit try to kill you is a whole other story.
Twice.
Damn. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the owner. It's funny. I'll tell this story, then we can wrap it up. But actually, I haven't told on the podcast in a while now. When we had the paranormal investigators here, we were in my son's room because we believe this. We found out that spirits they never had kids. The original owners couldn't have kids for some reason, so they like to stay in our kids' rooms just to try and like watch over them. But I was talking to the investigators about everything I've done to the house since I bought it, like to fix it up and modernize it. And swear to God, like all of a sudden they start taking pictures of me. I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, there's something around you. They're like, our mirrors are going crazy, like pointing towards you. We want to see if we can get a picture of something around you. And believe it or not, in the picture, like literally right here underneath my arm, you could see a face. And at the same time, I started getting these chills down my spine. I was like, do you guys feel cold? And they're like, no. I'm like, no, it's just me. Lovely. And out of the smallest whisper in my ear, thank you. Just a thank you.
So they may be coming from the light and going back and forth. And if that's the case, that's fine. And even when I sage a house, I let them know anything that comes from the light is fine. Angels come from the light. Your guides come from the light. A lot of people come to visit from the light. They come and they go. It's the low vibrational ones that you don't want in your house.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't sensed anything in the house in a long time. In the garage or in the basement, like when I used to podcast in the basement too, until those loud and obnoxious dogs wouldn't let me anymore because it just caused too much interference. But I would get like lightheaded when I was talking to certain people, and like I started to realize there's spirits around me right now. That's how I know, because I could feel something in my head that's like sensing
And that's
something.
why they might be coming over to keep an eye on the kids and watch the kids, because there's other spirits in the house. And if they're coming from the light, they used to own the house. It makes sense. That's a comfortable place for them to go back and forth. They get children there. A lot of times that's the case, and they'll try to watch over the children if there's other spirits in the house that aren't good.
All right, I might be looking to get some holy water. Don't necessarily know where to go about getting that. I wasn't raised Catholic.
Get a gallon of distilled water, take it down to the church, and have a Catholic priest bless it. That's what I do.
Don't even know where there's a Catholic church around here. I'll have to look that up. But
they're around.
Yeah, I'm sure it's Massachusetts. I could throw a stone if I was probably, but I don't know. The Christian church.
I mean, they're used to it. They don't know me from a hole in the wall. I'm not Catholic. I don't go to their church, but I'll go to one different one all the time and just hunt them out before Mass and just ask if the priest is around, if he can just bless it for me. And sure enough, they take 2 seconds and bless it for you. Not a big deal.
Might have to do that, but so where can my audience find you? Where can they find everything you do? Just promote yourself to the fullest.
So they can find me on my website, which is juneedward.com. There's no S on that, juneedward.com. And there are links to all of my books there. My books are available everywhere at bookstores and Amazon, but there's links to make it easier for you on my website. There, you can book a reading with me. You can book mediumship. You can book destiny card reading or an angel card reading. Destiny cards are astrology and numerology. There are tons of videos that you can watch. There is information on the Relationship Mastery Program. I help save relationships one person at a time. There is a free webinar that you can sign up for if you want to learn a little bit more about energy and see if you might be a good fit for the Relationship Mastery Program. And I'm on all social media platforms except for TikTok. I am not on TikTok, but I'm on Facebook more than anything else, and you can follow me there.
Well, I thank you for coming on, because you have enlightened me a lot in this episode, and I can't wait to put some of the stuff you taught me into practice. Yes, Munchie, yes. I love you too.
Mine keeps coming in too.
Yeah, it's big girl here. Is she a big girl? Yeah. You're a lovely bug. But, my audience, you know where you can find me. If you don't know, shame. shame your house, shame your cow. But you can find listen to the outro. You'll find me everywhere. You know that. And just go where this is streaming. You'll find me through that too. Which I did tag your Facebook in the repost of this in my Facebook group. So there you go. And you can find her that way too. See, I'm good. And I want to thank June for coming on one last time because this has been a great episode. I love episodes where I actually learn things. That's always the best thing in the world. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I in your spot? Yeah, I'm sorry. But
You're very welcome.
And listeners, I shall be back, I believe, with another paranormal interview on Monday or Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. But until then, just remember, the world's not normal and never will be. Not meant to be. Have a good night, everybody. I will see you next time. You can find me on Facebook as Jeremy Bryant, or you can find me as Uncensored, Unapologetic, and Untamed UQ Podcast Collective Facebook group. You can find me on Twitter and the Instagram as @JugglerBastard, or should I say X now. And you can find me on TikTok as @JugglerBastard Podcast. You can also find me on YouTube as Paranormal the New Normal. And you can also find me streaming on YouTube as Blind Knowledge Network, because all knowledge is blind until they admit Bigfoot exists.